Welcome to the As Yet Unknown podcast. My name's Alex Snyder, your back pocket coach consultant and connection catalyst. Entrepreneurship is a bit like bungee jumping, a big leap into the unknown, and it can be a lonely, bumpy ride. It's also one of the most empowering and liberating things you can do. Each episode is a dose of fresh perspectives designed to leave you feeling connected to innovative ideas and inspired about growing your business your way. Thanks for tuning in. Now let's have an adventure. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining. And Kirsten, thank you for being here. You are such a badass entrepreneur and also one of the most genuine, kind souls I've had the pleasure to encounter.
Alex, thank you.
When we met last year through one of my awesome clients, Derek, I was honestly blown away by where you've been and what you've built. And for those outside of Canada who may not know, Indigo is one of Canada's largest and most iconic brands. And Kirsten was part of building that from the ground up through going public. And it's just one of the many highlights of your career so far. So I will just say that you are truly mission-driven and purpose-driven entrepreneur who is passionate about community. And I would say that I think that's where we really aligned. As well as you are an operations and team building queen. So I'm so excited for this conversation today. And I would love if you want to add on to that and tell people a little bit about yourself.
Oh, sure. Well, Alex, thank you. That was a very generous intro. I remember when we had our first call last year with Derek and I got off the phone and I was so intimidated. I'm like, this woman is incredible. So they're back at you. So that was a great first meeting that we had together. I was so impressed. And obviously, Derek always has quality people on his team and who he works with, so that was amazing. Yeah, so I had a tremendous and wonderful group of people I've worked with over the years. I've been so fortunate to have worked with such talented, exceptional people. And between Indigo and doing other startups, I worked at Roots and with some other iconic brands. And I just feel like now that I'm, in my phase where I'm advising and helping other entrepreneurs, it's such an exciting time. So I'm excited to be here with you today.
I love it. Yes. So, this series is around the recession, and recession is a word that tends to start as a whisper and then it just becomes a roar, and it creates panic and creates stagnation. And we've both been through more than one downturn and come out on the upswing. So I'm kind of curious, what stands out for you from your experience?
Yeah, I would say that I'm much older than you, Alex, but I've been through 4 recessions in my career days. And the longest one, of course, was the Great Recession of 08-09 or 07-09, depending on. And look, you and I are both here to tell the tale that we went through the downs and there's always an up. That's just the way it goes. Up and down, up and down. Who knows how long this one will last? It's a different confluence of inputs than we've ever seen before. So except for World War II, not to get into economics, but I think that having lived through that, we know there will be better times ahead. And for people who didn't think this was coming, this was coming. So, and there'll always be another. So it's good to go through it for other reasons that you and I can chat about.
Yeah. And I mean, I think, it's, as I said, it starts as a whisper that is kind of a bad, dirty word, right? I've been talking to my clients for over a year about, how to prepare and all the things. And that's probably another podcast. We're going to talk about the reality now that we're in it.
Yes.
I love what you said about facing reality, because it doesn't just mean the doom side. Like, yes, The reality is where we are, but it also means recognizing that this is a constrained time. This is a period. And there is change coming. And the natural place for that is, it may continue to go down for a while, but it will go back up. And really planning and operating with what's coming in mind to the best of your abilities, I think is so important. So I'm curious for you, what does that mean? Because we know that just waiting it out is not the answer.
No. I think that there's 2 sides. On the professional business side of things, really understanding who your core target customer is. Understanding whether or not you have a pain point that you're solving for, asking yourself that really hard question, and making sure that has longevity through the recession and onto the other side. So understand that. Make sure that the team is aligned around those pain points and around the jobs to be done to meet those pain points. And this is the work that has to be done to get in shape for when we're back up on the up. Getting in shape, it's a great time. It's like a Rocky movie, you know, when he's like getting ready for the last bout. This is when we're getting in shape, whether
Yeah.
it's professionally and on the business side of things. Get your strategic roadmap in place. Talk to customers. Get the qual and quant done. I think that this is a good time to be doing all of that work. On the personal side of things, I didn't do this for all 4 recessions, but in this current one, I will share that I'm really taking solace in this time of getting shape personally in shape.
Mm.
Meditating. I'm on an AIP protocol diet to just eliminate everything that hasn't been good for me. It's also my age speaking, but all of those things to get myself in shape so that I can think with clarity and
Mm-hmm.
not in this fight flight mentality, which has been a large part of my career because I wasn't prioritizing myself, be it in
Mm-hmm.
the ups or the downs. And I think that in a down period, it's a good time. Why not make that a habit for the up, you know?
Yeah, I love that. And I would love to, hear a little bit more, but I just want to say, I think, there's a lot of downside. We've been through a few hard years and straight into this recession, right? Like that is really difficult. But the conversations around mental health, the connections between physical and mental health, around nervous systems that are more and more, and I have a lot of conversations with my friends around our generation's advantages to what we talk about and what we know about that our parents didn't benefit from, and our ability to personal development.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is great, right? And it's understanding what works for you. It's not about doing a fad diet. It's like understanding through science
Yes.
what how the inputs to your life and what you just mentioned into your body in terms of food are impacting your ability to function optimally, and that includes you know mental health but also mental clarity, right? Like we're talking about how you need to make a plan and manage stress, and if you want uncommon results, you need to take uncommon action.
Correct. And I believe that leading people can be done from a place of better authenticity and clarity and a stability and calmness that needs to be brought during this time. And
Yeah.
I just love the point that you made because we didn't have the benefit from our parents to have this, or the science wasn't available. The notion of meditation and what that can do for your, is it the prefrontal? Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, so I think that that's the silver lining to this awakening of what's happening,
Yeah.
which will benefit people in business or not for, or, in our professional lives in addition to our personal lives. And now I think that that'll be a benefit.
Yeah, absolutely. And I always say, leadership, entrepreneurship, it brings up our stuff. The nice
Yeah.
PG version of what I say. And what you said about leading from a place of calm, right? Like whatever it is in your life that has happened up till now that has made you who you are, if you're a reactive person, if you have insecurities, it comes out in times of stress. It comes out in dealing with people and problems. And that is, that's what leadership is, right?
Yes.
So, um, you want your team to be better, you need to be better. And John said on a recent podcast, it's leading by example, right? People don't do what dad says, they do what dad does, right?
Yes.
It's the same in
Yes.
teams. So if you want people to show up and be regulated, you can't be flying off the handle. You
You
can't
cannot.
be you know constantly changing your mind or creating kind of havoc by insisting on this and then pivoting 2 days later. Like you need to be regulated, and that is, it's so influential too. And I mean, again, the science is there around how just as humans our bodies co-regulate.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, so I think that I think that that work personally, or this new the evolution that's happening. And I did you
Mhm.
get the book I recommended, Alex? I'll share with everyone.
Yes.
The Untethered Soul. It's like
Yeah.
the best book. So yeah, so I think that's been a big part of my journey, having been through a lot of strife and ups and downs through entrepreneurship and corporate and not working and work, and so I think that getting your personal house in order helps your professional house to be in order.
Absolutely. And I think, anyone who follows me will know that like I use a lot of sports analogies. I was an athlete growing up. So I love certain things that are maybe more intense, but it doesn't mean you need to be in the gym 7 days a week, right?
Right.
It's finding what works for you, what you look forward to, what makes sense for you. And I think finding any kind of physical activity and then layering on other things like meditation, etc. Like it's really finding what works for you. And it takes some effort, but once you find it, there's no going back.
For sure. And I think that loneliness is a huge factor, right? Like as entrepreneurs or leaders, it's a lonely place, right? And so I think that in addition, this notion of getting together and connecting with people, like this is great that we can do this. Technology is a paradox, but being able to get together with people in real life, now I'm making a point of doing that 2 or 3 times a week, because there's nothing that, the attention is better. Like you don't remember half the Zooms you're on, but I think that is a commitment I'm making now. And I think that is important. Go for a walk, have a meeting over a walk versus, sitting on a Zoom call.
I think love walking meetings.
I love walking meetings. I'm like the best on a walking meeting.
Yes.
Yeah. You and I should have a walking meeting.
Absolutely. Next time I am in Toronto, we will. I think what you said about loneliness is so big, especially for the past few years. There is this power to physical presence and connection that kind of can't be overstated, really. And I think I'm curious your take on this, but to me, it's also the honesty. So reaching out, we're hearing more about vulnerability, but I think it's still something we struggle with. Mm-hmm. And I think learning to ask for help, learning to just answer honestly when someone says, "How are you?" Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean you have to share your whole story. You can have boundaries, right? But learning to allow yourself to say something other than good or fine or okay, it does create a connection and a permission for people.
Agreed. Yes. And I wonder, I'm not particularly prevalent on social, like it's not, I'm a very private person actually. So being in the public eye in any way is very hard for me. So even to do a post on LinkedIn is hard. Like, isn't that weird? Anyways,
I can enjoy so much.
The LinkedIn, I've noticed that when people do post and they are being authentic and transparent, it's where people get the most action, so to speak. And I think that that's what this platform is so useful for, and we should do that. We should leverage that to be able to ask for help. We're all here in this together, and then in the biggest scheme.
Yeah, I actually think that's so strong of a point, because it took me ages to put anything about what I'm doing on LinkedIn for 101 reasons. Not comfortable in the public eye, felt weird sharing what I was doing with the 15 years of network I'd built. And I'll back myself and say I put out some strong posts that are really valuable and helpful around business. The post that has resonated the most was the post, I think it was titled, "When I was 16 years old, my life fell apart." And it chronicled and told people about me and about what I learned and what I had struggled with. And people, like, it was wild how much traction that got. And I was like, but the business helpful things that will help you. Like, what? But you're right? And I think it's the authenticity and how we can start to leverage these wonderful online tools to have some of the connection that, maybe we're not having in person as much. Although I agree with your point of, I do try to make sure I see people in real life as well.
Yes.
It can be tough.
Well, I'm glad you overcame that, Alex. Look, you've launched LinkedIn Live now. Look at you.
I know. I look at, and it's a reminder to everybody, I'm just going to say this, that what you see is never an overnight success. Or, I've had so many people say really lovely things about this, and you're doing so well, and I love your marketing, and I just wish I could do. I'm like, you don't even know what it took to get me. There were tears. There was a lot of sweat. There was a lot of procrastination. There was, so always a reminder. And the other thing is sometimes you just leap. And I think everything I've done in life that people have been like, wow, it just took me like leaping. So not the point of what we're maybe talking about, but definitely a big one. You mentioned earlier, I loved how you equated, getting lean in your business and getting lean in your personal life. And it is wild how quickly operating costs can increase in good times, right? We see this everywhere with economy. When prices rise, majority of organizations, they spend more, and not necessarily strategically or on targeted projects. It often starts that way, but then it kind of just sticks around at this new new level, right? And I think in lifestyle, that could be extra indulgences or letting your physical or mental health practices slide. And suddenly it's a few pounds or some ingrained stress or growing anxiety. So I think really, really important to have metrics in place and processes to kind of help you with that. But I'm wondering a little bit more around, what does getting your house in order mean? What are the focuses and the tasks that you want to be thinking about?
Yeah, I think that the work of really understanding who your customer is the starting point. Who is your customer? Who is your target audience, and what makes them tick? And make sure you really understand that piece,
Mm-hmm.
and articulate the strategic roadmap that aligns back to those pain points that you're solving for, and get rid of anything that's not doing that. Like there's not the capital or the resources to do anything that isn't the MVP that you're trying to deliver to solve for those pain points. And
Yes.
anything extraneous goes away,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, um, in order to get the business back in shape for when things can then be back on the top of the wave. So
Absolutely.
I think that strategic roadmap is the important work. The KPIs are, retention of your existing base. The upper funnel metrics, which are, depending on what business you're in, followers on Instagram, et cetera, et cetera. But I think that really understanding your customer and getting back to making sure that customer is sitting at the table with every decision you're making,
Mm-hmm.
that empty chair.
Yeah.
I think you can't go wrong if you've articulated what those pain points are and how you can solve for them.
Yeah, I think that's so important. And also understanding their journey through this, right? Like, are their needs changing
Yes.
through this recession or through other, what are the drivers that shift their needs, and how do customer retention is something I think doesn't get talked about enough, right? We talk about attraction, but your customers should feel as or more loved once they're onboarded as they did when you were trying to sell them. So,
And I believe it's much more expensive on the customer acquisition side than it is to retain if you're retaining
yeah.
properly.
And
Yeah.
honestly, if you're going to go for any kind of investment, like that's the metric you're going to need as well,
Right.
right?
Right. Yeah.
Turnover is not good.
No.
I love that you talked about strategic roadmap because, of course, given my focus, I would champion that.
Yes.
Having a plan, it requires you to have the right input info, and then finding a way to execute on it both effectively and efficiently really is the path to success. So what you said about simplifying, it's hard. We have a tendency to add and add and add.
Mhm.
But often what we need to do is like come back to basics and get
Mhm.
really clear and really prioritize. And it doesn't mean you're never going to do the other things, but as you said, if they're extraneous, if
Yes.
they're not, you know, level one priority to get to the next step to,
Yes.
whatever that priority or objective is, then it just needs to be parked.
Yeah,
You,
prioritization was like 80% of my job in corporate life. Like what are the priorities that will deliver X, Y, and Z against those jobs to be done? Prioritization all day long. Yeah.
yeah. And the order in which you do things really matters,
Yes. Yes.
right? I see
Yeah.
that all the time. It's like, wait, you're working on what? Like, no, like four things you need
Yeah.
before you're going to put so much energy and not get the output you want.
Right.
Um, you mentioned team alignment. I think this is huge. And in my experience, it starts with a really strong leadership articulation of the vision and mission,
Mhm.
and then making it really clear how everyone's kind of role and work drives that, right? So, and I think that's where I talk a lot about how like managing and leadership are a little bit different. You really need to get out and have people buy into what the company is doing and why, and then understand how what they do actually matters. I'm curious if you have a take on key success factors here or common pitfalls, maybe, especially in times of stress.
Oh yeah. Well, not the critical success factors per se, but I would say that it can be management's pitfall to jump into. We're going to take this away, and we're going to drive the roadmap, and then we're going to feed it into the system. This is the roadmap versus a participatory process with people all around the organization who understand the consumer and bring other aspects to the table. I think that management can, and it's a stressful time, but can can get away from that participatory process of doing it. And I think that as well, you can see when management can obsess over the little things without getting to the bigger picture and sticking back to the customer. I was talking to someone in fashion where they were talking about this pattern. The CEO was talking about the pattern, and all day long they're obsessing over the pattern. But really, the issue is the brand is tired and the pricing strategy was wrong. But they wouldn't talk about that. So they talked. This is someone, they're not even in Canada, but there was someone who was saying they were talked about the pattern for the whole day,
Wow.
because it's easier to just attach what's right in front of you versus getting to the tough conversations. I'm not sure if I answered the question, but.
Yeah, no, I think that's such a good point. I think in general, not seeing the forest for the trees is a human trait, and some people are more big picture, some are more kind of detail, but we do tend to get hung up on things either that are what we're comfortable in,
Yes,
or what, if the big picture is something we're just not able to figure out, then it's like, okay, well, where can I kind of dig in? And I think that is one of the big things of leadership, is you have to own a certain thing and you have to let your team own the other parts of that. And it's difficult sometimes to know where that delineation happens.
right.
But I think, thinking of that as a pitfall in times of stress is like, someone's got to have their eye on the big picture, and then they have to communicate that in a way where someone else is managing the details. And obviously, if you're, a really small organization, that might be a little tougher to break up. But
Yes.
Yeah.
And I would say to your point, not knowing where to focus on the macro, like that's a hard thing, right? Like this is a tough time.
Mm-hmm.
But back to, I feel like not to sound like a broken record, but if it's in the voice of the customer, you can never be wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
My
If it's
opinion,
the voice of the customer, you can never be wrong.
Never be wrong.
I love that. Okay, that's gonna be the title. I love that.
Change the title of this thing.
Yeah, it's in the voice of the customer. It can never be wrong. I think that's such a powerful quote. That's the kind of thing I would see like on the wall of the boardroom as a reminder. I think that that's really vital. Is to know what your drivers are, and then to have really clear responsibility. I was talking on a podcast this morning about the criticality of autonomy and ownership for teams.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious, do you think that there is something specific that maybe underlies that kind of challenge for leaders, getting caught up or micromanaging, or conversely anything that helped you or others kind of get to the point of being able to retain the right focus and the right level of ownership and delegation in kind of that
process? I think it comes down to trust, and you have to trust yourself in order to be able to trust others. I think that's what it comes down to. And unless you feel secure in your own ability to, and then to let go and to trust others and lead from behind, I think it's as simple as that, but maybe I'm oversimplifying it.
I, first of all, love that. You have to be able to trust yourself to trust others. I think, again, quotable moment. And I like to say simple is not the same as easy.
I like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
And simple and simplifying is important, and it's almost always the path forward. It's not easy.
It is not easy. Mm-hmm. Like that.
And I think what you said actually relates back to what you're talking about around, clarity of thinking and regulating yourself and then having the roadmap, right? So to trust yourself, you have to take the time. You have to make the plan. And then once it's there, I remember having a conversation probably a year ago with somebody, and they were talking about CEO energy. It's about looking through your options enough to make a decision, but then having the wherewithal to stick with and test your decision and not kind of abandon it at the first hurdle. If you try 6 things in 6 months, you will get nowhere. You need to take enough time to analyze, make a decision, and then commit to a certain period of actually pursuing and testing to validate what you want to do works.
And that's why I think, to your point earlier, what are those OKRs, those like critical success factors, and set a goal that's within a finite amount of time to fail fast and learn fast so you can move on to the next, right? So it's not 6 months later.
No, exactly. Right. You need to know what your metric is. You can't
Yes.
stick with, can't
Right.
flog a dead horse forever, but it's
Right.
knowing, what are the inputs that need to go in order for you to assess whether the output is a success or you need to recalibrate.
Yes.
Amazing. So I'd love to know, as much as you would like to share, what are you working on now? And, what are you most excited about looking forward at the next year, given where we are?
So I'm really excited about a new startup. I have a partner, Kit Lee Perry, who's ex Selfridges, and she's had the most amazing career, anthropology, urban, and she's like killer merchant retailer like me, like retail experience. So we're working on a startup, and we're going to be posting on LinkedIn soon. We're just working on some little things, before we do our post, and we've been working with Derek on that. So we're really excited for that to come to life. I'm also having fun advising on some advisory roles with direct-to-consumer brands, which is fun. And doing a little bit of consulting. So it's a full plate.
Yeah, it sounds like you're staying busy.
Yeah, so it's good. I'm not ready to sit back yet.
No.
So I'm happy to still have opportunities. Yeah.
I think that's amazing news for all of us because you have so much to contribute, and I can't wait to see what's coming out because I'm amazed. I can only imagine it's going to be a powerhouse brand given your backgrounds, both of you.
Yeah, no, we're really excited. So we'll be sharing on LinkedIn soon.
All right. So, with that, it has been such a pleasure to have you. Any last thoughts and anywhere, I guess, people can find you? Maybe it's just LinkedIn if they want to learn more.
Mostly, if I'm anywhere, I'm on LinkedIn, but because I'm not really on the others. But I'm always open and love to meet new people, to have coffee. So feel free at any time to reach out. And I would just say, I would recommend to everyone, meditation is really good. It took me a while to get into that, but I go for the meditation. For all of this, it just provides so much clarity. It's really good.
Couldn't
Alex, well, let's go for coffee.
I was going to say, we'll meditate and then go for coffee.
Okay. It was such a pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you, Kirsten. I cannot thank you enough. It's been such a great and insightful conversation. Thank you for everyone that joined us. And I'll be so excited. Maybe we'll check in again next year. We'll do another round of these.
We'll see how things are going. Okay, great. Okay, all the best, and we'll chat soon.
You too. Bye. Thanks for tuning in. Our goal is to create connections and inspire conversations. So please subscribe, rate, review, and share this podcast with your network if you enjoyed today's episode. Sharing is caring. If you're ready to take your business to the next level and are curious how I can help, click the link in the episode notes to schedule a call. Got questions or topics you want us to discuss? Click the link in the episode notes to share them with us. Your question might even get featured in an upcoming episode. And remember, this podcast is not intended to replace legal, tax, or other kinds of professional advice. Thanks for joining us on this adventure. We'll catch you on the flip side.